In this WrestleTalk news, more to the rumor of the Elite sending feelers to WWE, when Roman Reigns may be dropping the Universal title, being the Elite has been put on hiatus, Luke's review of Raw, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
One of the big stories of the weekend was the rumor that the Young Bucks had sent feelers to WWE. There was a lot bandied about regarding the validity of the rumor, but now more details have come to light. Not a lot more, mind you, but Ryan Frederick, who covers MMA for the Wrestling Observer and was the origin of this rumor, wrote on the board that he stands by his report. He mentioned that he has heard the rumor from multiple people and also reiterated that this is not a big deal. He wrote, "It's not like they actually reached out to WWE management. They told a friend in the company, a fellow wrestler, that they would be willing to listen to offers when their deals are up, I believe January 2024, and to let it be known." This report has also seemingly been backed up by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, who reported that one source swears they have heard that the Young Bucks asked to speak to WWE management. However, the report also notes that sources close to the Young Bucks have said they haven't been given that indication whatsoever. Another source also stated that they believe there wouldn't even be a need to gauge interest regarding a move to WWE, and it would be more a case of just checking the temperature on either side relating to a possible free agency. Finally, Sean notes that they at Fightful were given no indication prior to All Out that the Young Bucks wanted out of AEW, and talk has been quiet since the show. Because, well, you know what happened by now. In the land of WWE, however, we have more information about when we might see Roman Reigns lose the Universal Championship, or, more accurately, when we won't see him lose the championship, which would be anytime soon. WrestlingNews.co, a source familiar with WWE's creative process, is currently reporting that there are no plans to take the Blue Universal title off Roman Reigns before WrestleMania 39 in April. The long-running plan has been to do Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania in Los Angeles, a show that was supposed to take place in 2021 before we spent 2 years in a pandemorama. The report notes that when Roman won the title back in August of 2020, the plan was for him to be the champion for his planned match with The Rock. Now Triple H is reportedly moving forward with that initial plan, the idea still being for Reigns to walk into WrestleMania 39 as champion. However, the report notes that the original finish of this Reigns-Rock showdown would have seen Roman retain and become the company's top babyface, while it is not known whether or not Triple H will stick to that original vision. Reigns has several potential challengers waiting in the wings currently, but it would appear that if any of them have a hope of dethroning him, it will have to wait until after WrestleMania. One angle of the CM Punk versus the Elite fallout that had fans curious would be how being the Elite would be handled. The Young Bucks weekly YouTube show aired after All Out, but made no mention of the incident that swept wrestling news all week. Now it has been confirmed that we won't be seeing the Elite anytime soon, as the show's official Twitter account posted late Monday night that there will be no Being the Elite this week, and the show will be on hiatus until further notice. The show has gone on brief hiatuses in the past, such as after All In, where the team just needed a break. This situation is obviously very different, and it would be hard to think that we will see the return of the show until AEW's investigation into the CM Punk brawl and the subsequent suspensions have reached their conclusion. People must have really wanted to see who Solo Sikoa was, or maybe they wanted more of that deliciously violent Sheamus and Walter feud. But regardless of what people tuned in for, people tuned in to last Friday's SmackDown in droves. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics reported the viewership figures for the September 9th episode of SmackDown, with the show drawing 2.367 million viewers. This is up considerably from the prior week's go-home show for Clash at the Castle, which drew 2.077 million viewers. This 2.367 million viewers is the highest total viewership SmackDown has seen since the June 17th episode of the show, with SmackDown also scoring their highest demo rating since the July 22nd episode, scoring an 0.57 rating in that sweet 18 to 49 demographic. Somehow there were people that didn't believe if you book a good show, people will tune in to watch it. Was Raw one of those shows? Here's a hot tag to Luke for his review.
Thank you for your support on Patreon, fantastic Mr. Good Old Fox and the venerable Jesse Venable. And now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka, did I already see this show before edition of Monday Night Raw? In about 5 minutes. The show kicked off with Seth Rollins cutting a promo on Matt Riddle and somehow feeling like the biggest babyface on the roster with everyone singing his entrance theme. Thankfully, he's such a good heel that he got everyone back on Matt Riddle's side when the pair got into a brawl. I really like this story of Rollins as well, who has stomped Rollins into the earth on so many occasions, saying that their feud is over, while Riddle wants one more shot at him. And in a nice bit of connecting and interweaving stories together, the Judgment Day came out to offer Riddle a spot in their group because he's a massive loser just like them. Riddle turned them down, and it turned into a decent match between Matt and Finn Balor. This was a hot opening to the show, which set up 3 storylines. Seth wanting to move on from Riddle and go for gold, which was furthered later in the night when Seth set up a US Championship match with Bobby Lashley, Riddle wanting more of Seth, and the Judgment Day wanting to bring Matt into their group. The match itself was good, and saw Balor hit the coup de grace for the win following Rollins causing a distraction, who then stomped Matt into the crowd once again. Maybe you should join Judgment Day, Matt. Dominic Mysterio cut a promo looking like Holly from Red Dwarf, then repeated something that Daddy Ripley whispered into his ear. And it's nice to see Dom feel, well, interesting for a change. We then got a rematch from a couple of weeks ago as Damage Control took on Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And Damage Control is appropriate here, as not only was this Control-C, Control-V from 2 weeks ago, it was also Control-Z and retype it up, as Damage Control won the titles, which they should have done in the first place. What was the purpose of putting the belts on Aaliyah and Raquel? I know I've harped on about this for the last couple of weeks, but it really did slow the momentum down of Bayley and Co. And it did nothing to elevate Aaliyah and Rodriguez, who got 0 reaction during this match. And the reaction for Dakota Kai and Io Sky was lesser than it was a few weeks ago as well. Kai and Sky winning should have been the final result in the first place. So I'm not going to complain too much now because they've got the belts, and this was a misstep that has been corrected. What didn't need to be corrected, however, was the return of Johnny Gargano, who picked up the win in a fabulous match against Chad Gable. What a perfect first opponent for Gargano on the main roster. No, I'm not counting that tag team call-up before you try and correct me in the comments, as the two could have the most perfect version of what used to be known as the PWG style and is now known in the WWE world as the NXT style. These two had a mid-card NXT takeover match and it ruled. Gargano looked great and it actually raised the stocks of Gable, who really should be getting a bigger push than just being the guy who has great matches and loses all the time. Fun fact, you have to go back to July to find Gable's last win on TV. That was the Vince McMahon era. It also raises the question of why Alpha Academy, who haven't won a tag team match since May and just lost a 2-on-1 handicap match to Braun Strowman, are challenging for the #1 contendership to the tag titles along with New Day, who lost to Viking Raiders, and Los Lotharios, who lost to Hit Row last week. Street Profits are the only team in that 4-way with a win to their name. For everything good that Trips is doing, and he's doing so much good, this is something that needs work. Thankfully, what came next was easily the best thing on the show. Kevin Owens might be the best promo in wrestling now. For me, it's between him and Jon Moxley, and I really can't separate the two. I might just give the edge to Owens though, as this is the first promo in WWE that has made me care about Austin Theory. Theory was cutting his standard Theory promo when Owens came out to call him out for doing the usual Theory promo. Owens said there's been hundreds of young guys in WWE who didn't make it. Way to highlight the company's bad booking of talent there, Kev. And guys like Theory are a dime a dozen, while people like Owens and Gargano are 1 in a million, which I guess would be 2 in a million. The crowd were going nuts by the end of this promo, and Theory's selling of it was so good. Owens told him to step up and show him how he's supposed to be the future of this company. And in a moment of absolute brilliance, Theory, burying down those feelings that Owen is right, returned to his usual Theory shtick, and he flexed his muscles and said that Owens will never be like him. They then had a wild brawl which was broken up by security. This was a home run segment, a perfect segment, a brilliant bit of sports entertainment. This is why I love wrestling. There isn't anything like this in the world. This was chef's kiss. Do you know how good this segment was? The crowd erupted later when they announced that Owens and Theory will be having a match next week, even though those two literally had a match which Owens won decisively 7 days ago. It's a rematch, but it's a rematch that people now care about because Owens' promo was so good and Theory's selling of it was top notch. I loved all of this. It's a shame the show didn't end there though, because Bianca Belair set up an open challenge for her Raw Women's Championship, which was answered by Sonya Deville to 0 reaction. They then had a long match that somehow only went 12 minutes but actually felt like 21. Belair won, and then Bayley attempted to save the segment by cutting a decent promo. Damage Control surrounded the ring and beat down Belair when Asuka and Alexa Bliss ran down for the save. And no, I'm not reading my notes from 3 weeks ago, and no, this isn't Groundhog Day, but it sure as feels like it. I'm all in for Belair versus Bayley, but Asuka and Bliss are dead weight in this storyline. Jimmy Smith even ended this segment saying, "The night belongs to the EST and friends." That's all Asuka and Bliss are now. And friends. Speaking of Groundhog Day, Amos beat 2 lads in under 2 minutes. The BT Sport feed didn't actually get all of this, but I'll presume it was really boring. In the oddest segment of the night, Miz filmed an interview from his home while Dexter Lumis watched from a window. Miz's kids and his wife were in this segment, and it ended with Lumis breaking into Miz's house and creepily drawing a picture of his family and held it to the cameraman, who did nothing to stop this and gave a look down the lens like he was going to murder them. How the is he the babyface? It cut to the commentators and Corey Graves correctly was freaking out that this psychopath broke into a family home with Miz's kids tucked up in bed, and Jimmy Smith said, "Never mind that here comes Edge." This storyline has gone off the rails for me. I'm so sorry, Dan. This is bad. Edge and Dominic Mysterio then had a totally fine match that ended with a lame DQ finish, as the more things change in WWE, the more they stay the same. The Judgment Day then beat down Edge and left him laying, and no, I'm not reading my notes from a few weeks ago, and no, this isn't Groundhog Day, but I'm so ready for Edge to do anything else. This was a Raw that really peaked with the Johnny Gargano match and the Kevin Owens promo. Then went on for another hour. Triple H can overcome a lot of bad WWE things, but a 3-hour Raw is not one of them. This episode was 3 out of 5.
The lower card people are actually going to be quite important to round out the roster later. So you want to be making sure that you're getting value for your money, which is why I'm going to draft Tucker first.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
It's a smart move.
Tucker's back on SmackDown. No, you took no. Why would you take Slapjack? That was going to be my next pick.